Welcome to this new how-to. In this how-to we're gonna look at the pushback functionality of the Boeing 737 released by PMDG a few days ago, and the reason I'm showing you the pushback functionality because it's kind of special. So let's go inside the aircraft and let's have a look at those options, because there are so many options which you, I would say, are surprised about. So first of all, right, we've got the FS actions. And in the FS actions you will find multiple options, including the pushback options, because the doors are already closed and the stairs are already removed. So what you can do is you can do a few things, because the nice thing is that it will show you the distance to the taxi line, right? And if we go outside the aircraft, you will see the distance to the taxi line. That's the red line, or not the red line, sorry, a little bit further. That's this line, right, which is over here, and that's nice because, as you just saw, and I need to move back, it has a few options. You can either be pushed back straight out, which means you're being pushed back, I would say, really straight out. You can do a standard L, which means I would say the form of the letter Lima. You can set it to dots DI. On then it will dot the I, right? And you can set it to cross the T, and you can set it to none-other. So there are multiple styles which you can, I would say, push, and those are all pre-programmed, I would say, routes in which direction you can be pushed without any intervention. However, the cool thing is that you can also set it to self-service. In case of self-service, you can, I would say, taxi yourself, right? So you can, I would say, use your joystick to increase or decrease the speed, but also to turn the nose. So all kind of cool things which can be done by using this one. So let's start with straight out, right? So let's so you can see that all the chocks are removed, and with the chocks, right, if we go back to the aircraft, the chocks are normally placed to the, I would say, close to the wheels to prevent that the aircraft suddenly starts moving, and that's of course not what we want, right? So you can see they are removed already, and then you can select the TOC, and the TOC can be either the TPX 200 or none. If we now go, I would say, outside, you will see that the TPX is connected, right? So this is the default TOC truck, but this is the one which is, I would say, provided as part of the PMDG release. You can see it's like a kind of a nice modeled one, right? So let's go inside and then press start. That's all we need to do. The cool thing is that they also did include the communications.
Pushback and start, tail straight out.
It will tell you, okay, hey, this is the pushback.
Roger that, ready for push straight back. Brakes off.
Right, so it's waiting. Normally you would expect it now to start pushback.
Brake set.
It says for
Hold. Watch for the salute and release from guidance on your right. Have a good flight.
so a lot of communication, right? And now the torque is gone. That's cool. I'm not sure why the torque is gone, so let's try it again. Probably we did something wrong. So we're gonna call the torque again and then hit start.
We've been cleared for pushback and start, tail straight out. Roger that, ready for push straight back. Release the brakes, please.
We're still not moving. Interesting.
Brakes released.
the brakes were set. So I'd expect it now to push back, to be honest. There it goes. Took a while. So what you need to make sure is that your parking brakes are not set, because else it won't do much. So what it will do now, as you can see, it simply pushes back the aircraft in a straight line. You don't have to do anything else. And once it's done that, let's see what happens. So this is the first mode, right? So the first mode, I would say, is relatively easy. Everything goes automatically. The other modes are simply changing the form in which you're being pushed, right? The L form pushes you in a different direction compared to this one. So let's see. You can simply watch till where it pushes us. You can see that the distance to the taxi line doesn't change. So it's now ready, right? So we're going to set the parking brake. And then you will see that the pushback truck will move away. At least. That's what I expect, right? Right, that's correct. It has been set to none. All the things are gone now, so that's good. So the second method, let's hit a restart, and we will use the L mode, right? Because I'm only going to show you the L mode to show you how the L mode works. And these are simply the automatic modes. So we're there. So I'm gonna press ready. And then we're gonna go again to FS actions. Then we're gonna make sure that, let's first make sure that the stairs are already closed, so that's good. Then we're gonna do a pushback, and then in this case we're gonna say, hey, we want to have it in the standard L, right? So you can see that the distance to the push line is 295, and that's in feet, and the degrees are 90. If we now select this one and select start, you will see that something different will happen, right?
We've been cleared for pushback and start. They want the tail to our left.
And it also tells us, hey, we want to move the tail to the left side, right? Because we want to turn into the, or be turned into the correct direction.
Brakes released.
Brakes released. So don't make the error to set the brakes, because then it will simply stop pushing back, right? It does make sense to start pushing back if the brakes are still set. And there we go. So this is the second method, right? So I think it's really cool that they have added these kind of methods already in the package. Of course, you can still use the great pushback tool for the other aircrafts. But in this case, for this, I would say, nice Boeing 737, it works perfectly. So let's see what happens. It will move us back. And then it will start, I would say, making a turn. You can already see it. And it looks like that the taxi line is that red line, which I initially thought it was. So it looks like that's indeed the line. The difference between, I would say, the pushback toolbar tool is that it also instructs you to start the engines, right? That's something you need to take into account, that you also need to do that, let's say, or you can do that while the aircraft is being pushed back. So this is the second method, right? Really cool method. Let's see what the third method is, and that will be the eye, the dotted eye, because I want to have a look also at that to see how that works, right? So, and of course the last one is the free mode, which we're gonna look at. So again, we're going inside the aircraft. We're gonna go to this nice tool and then click on FS actions, pushback, straight out we did it, standard L we did it, and dot the I, and that's the one we're gonna do now. And we're gonna again call the pushback truck. Oh, only click once and then click start.
Go ahead. We've been cleared for pushback and start. They want the tail to our
You can see that the engines in this case are already starting.
Roger that. Ready for pushback. Tail to the left. Release brake, please. Brakes released.
So what you will see is that if you would go now to the engines, they are already running, right? It's not best practice to start the engines already because it could cause damage. So what you normally would do is leave the engines off, and while you're being pushed back you will start the engines one by one following the normal procedure, because else you can cause damage to the gates. So let's see what happens now in this case, right? So moving to the top, so we're closely coming to the taxi line. You will see that the aircraft is being pushed back again to the correct side. In this case I don't see too much difference, to be honest. I think the only difference is that it now pushes it a little bit further. Oh, it pushes back and then takes it a little bit to the front. Right, so that's the difference. So the L pushes back in the form of the letter Lima, and this one pushes back and then starts to pull. So you need to be aware of that and also say stop.
Roger that. Ready for pushback. Tail to the left.
Because else you will be driven into these nice buckets, right? So that's cool. So are there any other things? No, not yet. This is it. So let's move on to the next one. And that's the fourth option which you can select. And that's also the final option before we move to the, free option, in which you can control the pushback truck yourself. Also, of course, very cool. So we're gonna go to the FS Actions button, then go to the pushback, and then again push this one a few times. What you can see is that you also can change these degrees. It looks like that you can manually configure them here, right? So if I type in 4.5, let's see if that works. Right, so you can change the degrees in which it pushes right or left. In this case, across the T gives you the option to turn the nose right or left, while the other modes, let me go to the standard L, also does it, right? So it allows you to define in which direction you need to put the nose, and that's really important because in this case it was the correct way, but if the runway was on the other way, then we need to change this button also to the left, and you can do that by pressing the LS3. And again, the degrees, you can set it to 90 degrees easily, or you can use the numpad here to change that number, for example 4.5, and then hit degrees, and then it will set it to 4.5 degrees. So let's do that with the letter T. Gonna do that. We do the cross the T, because the dot I we already did. So gonna change the degrees, and let's see what changes now. So depending on the pushback style, you might be able to change the direction in which to turn the nose. That's only applicable to the L mode, the dot I mode, and the cross the T mode. The other mode, the straight push, will simply push you back, straight, right? Nothing more than that. And the other thing you can change is the degrees, which means the degrees in which it turns the aircraft.
Roger that. Ready to push. Tail to the left. Brakes off.
So the brakes are off. Let's see if it detects it, because some scenarios had some issues. And there we go again, right? So you can't influence the speed, and that's something you can do with the other mode or with the last mode. But you can define the direction and the degrees of turning if you want. So here we go again. So you can see it starts turning. And here you can see instead of pushing it 90 degrees, it now pushes it 45 degrees. So that's one difference, right? And we also said, hey, you need to, let's say, do the letter T. So in this case, it will start pulling us again. But if we don't watch out, we will hit the wall. So let me have a closer look at that and then hit, in this case, hit stop. I assume that it would do the T, the letter T, right? Like the I, but it looks like it's working a little bit different as I expected. So this mode, in this case the T mode, was not very useful for this airport. But maybe it's useful on other airports, right? It has to do with, I would say, pushing back and then starting to pull the aircraft, which in most cases makes sense if you don't want to, let's say, directly start the engines or directly start taxiing yourself, and do it by using the pushback truck. Then of course the last mode, and that's the free mode. So we're gonna say, okay, hey, we want to do the self-drive mode, and then we're gonna call the pushback truck. And once you've done that, right, so once the pushback truck is connected, because that's the only thing which happens in this scenario, you can, I would say, use the joystick to control what happens. So the trucks are already removed. So if I push back the joystick forward, it starts driving. If I stop pushing, like simply recentering, then it will stop. The nice thing about this is that you can also, I would say, pull the aircraft, right? So lets me stop pulling and then simply move the joystick towards me, and that will start pulling the aircraft. So again, I'm gonna go back. And you can also easily change the speed, right? So you can go really fast or you can go slower. And that's, I would say, this is the free mode, or not the free mode, it's the self-drive mode. In which case you can manually control the aircraft, or at least the taxiing part of the aircraft. So once you're happy, right, you can either push it left or right. Oh, in this case we need to go the other direction, of course. Oh. Not the correct way. We can play around, right? We can almost probably it would be easier to, let's say, do it from the joystick or from the pushback truck itself, right? Because now we're in kind of a nasty situation. So we first need to center, and then we need to push back. You can see that I'm not the best, let's say, pushback truck driver. So, but you get the idea, right? So there are multiple ways which you can do. In this case we completely screwed it up, of course, because we are, I'd say, kind of locked down the wheel, and we might have even broken the wheel. So 5 modes, or at least actually 6, because there's also the manual mode, which you have in this Boeing 737 from PMDG. Again, you can easily modify them by using the options in the FSX or in the FS Actions menu. Simply go to pushback, and there you will find all the different modes, in which case you can select again the distance, the pushback style, also the turning and the degrees, and also to remove the chocks and to select the tug, of course. The comms option, I'm not sure if that's really active, right? You can see that I can change it from feet to meters, but the comms button doesn't work, as you can see. Maybe that comes in the future release of the aircraft. Here ends this how-to. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, then consider to use the like button. If you got questions or comments, then feel free to put them in the comment box below. And if you want to stay up to date about new videos I'm posting, then make sure that you're subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.